Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Golden Galaxy Bar. This week we are going to be talking about whiskey. My favorite spirit. I adore whiskey. So, this week I'm going to give you a little rundown, a little history. I know, don't fall asleep. Sorry. A little history about whiskey as well as what each thing means. And then I'm going to make a couple drinks. Yes, I know, the bartending channel is finally going to make drinks. My first two videos were probably a snooze fest, and I'm sorry. Anyways, oh, I was on the wrong page. So, whiskey originated from distillation brought by monks in the early 15th century. Originally, monks discovered distillation through fermentation of both grapes and barley. Barley is what is used to make whiskey. They fermented barley and made something called aqua vita, or water of life. I believe it's still around today. I don't think it tastes very great. I might eat my words on that. I've never had it. The earliest record of whiskey actually comes from Ireland. Jameson is an Irish whiskey, if you didn't know. In 1405, 100-ish or 90-ish years later, in 1495, there's a mention of Scotland, and there's heavy dispute who actually invented it first, Ireland or Scotland. However, there's now a bunch of types. So there is Scotch and Irish whiskey. Scotch whiskey, most of the time just being called Scotch, is usually single malt. So there's a few different ways to differentiate whiskey: the country of origin and the way that it's made. Most Scotch whiskey is single malt, meaning they only use malted barley. Most Irish whiskey is a blended, meaning they use malted barley and other grains. There's uh, Scotch, Irish whiskey, bourbon, which is American, Huga. Bourbon is a weird thing. We'll get in that in a minute. Canadian and Japanese. I'm not going to talk about Japanese whiskey today because I want to do an episode all about Japanese whiskey, because Japanese whiskey can get really in depth and it can change on things as small as the town that it was made in. Yeah. The other thing that really changes is the style that it's made in. So single malt, malted barley, blended. The other thing is bourbon. Bourbon. So this is my bottle of bourbon. That's the same thing that's in this little decanter here. So bourbon has a few regulations. For bourbon to be called bourbon, it needs to be, or for it to be called Kentucky straight bourbon, I apologize, it needs to have four things. One, it has to be 51% corn. The other 49, I believe, is either a blend of barley and malt or simply malt. It needs to be aged for at least 2 years. It needs to be aged in a new oak cask or barrel, and it has to be filtered through charcoal. Uh, oh, my bad. No, it does not need to be filtered through charcoal. Tennessee whiskey is much like bourbon. The only difference is it is ran through a sugar maple charcoal filter. I don't know how much of the sugar maple is true, but it is ran through a charcoal filter, and that is what gives it that sweeter taste. I always found Jack Daniels to be sweeter. Rye whiskey. I do not have any rye whiskey with me. Sorry, that's the rub. I really want some, but my liquor store does not have any at the moment because they're closed for the holidays. Yes. Oh, Merry Christmas, everybody! Forgot to mention that. Rye whiskey is simply made with rye grain. That's about it. There's no barley and there's no other grains in it. The last one, which is left, Canadian whiskey. Now, Canadian whiskey is a blend of rye along with Canadian aging requirements. In Canada, they have very rigorous aging requirements for all spirits, whiskey being one of their main exports. That's why Canadian whiskey is of such high quality. Alrighty. Is that it? Oh, right. I was gonna do a tasting of a couple of these. Eeny, meeny, miny, you three. Because I don't really like Jack Daniels as much as these three. Well, damn. Yeah, fuck it. Shoot back. Alright. Let's grab our little friend, the Snifter, and Jameson, because this is, if you didn't know, Jameson is my favorite whiskey. I'm gonna do a small tasting of these, a small smell, and then I'm gonna move on to the recipes and the drinks, which I know that's why y'all are all here. I've already got everything set up, so don't worry. So this is Jameson. Jameson always gives me that sweeter part of oak. Like if you've ever smelt oak wood, I've had the pleasure of handling oak wood for smoking meat. It is. I always found it sweet on the back end. I always get that from the Jameson, along weirdly with notes of like, call me crazy. It tastes kind of like, or it smells kind of like sweet lemons, like a lemon candy almost. Mm. And then it has that spicy sweetness that burns on the way down. Mm. And then it leaves almost an aftertaste of the sourness of lemon. I keep thinking about lemon whenever I'm drinking that. Absolutely delicious. I should probably turn over to my recipes. All right. Oh. All right. Do a small little thing of Jack. Actually, where's my rag? There it is. Wipe this glass out. Get all of the Jameson out. Unfortunately. Small little pour of JD. I smelled the sweetness of the corn. I don't smell the oak in this one, which is weird. Because they have, apparently it's double oaked with the charcoal. I'm getting the sweetness from the corn and A light vanilla note. It's been a long time since I've had Jack, just straight Jack. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. For me to make sense, I grew up in the deep south and I grew up in the middle of nowhere. And we had woods next to a very large, like, corn and wheat farm. This smells like summer in the middle of a wheat farm. Or not smell, it tastes like that. It tastes like the air on one of those warm nights. Like you'll breathe in and it's super sweet. And then it has on the back end that acidic note of like a really cheap beer. This is bringing back like memories that I don't. This is like the condensed version of you steal your grandfather's truck and go play in a wheat field in the middle of the night. And then you probably get caught. Yeah, that's super weird. And finally, this is Rebel 100 bourbon. This is a very nice bourbon. I've been buying the same brand for a year or two now. Put that back. Okay, so let's see what we're dealing with. You lose the corn in the bourbon. You get more oak, and I'm getting vanilla-ish. What else is in there? I'm getting hmm. I'm getting like floral notes from this, which is weird. Yeah, it's got the well. First of all, it's got the familiar burn of bourbon. Um, Bourbon, if you didn't know, it burns very much all the way down. Um, it's got the sweet vanilla notes of bourbon, or this specific bourbon. I might need to do a tasting across all the bourbons, but this one's got that nice familial vanilla sweet note, and it has sort of an oaky aftertaste. Yeah, that is absolutely delicious. All right, let's make some drinks, shall we? So the first one I'm going to make, there is two ways to make it. Now, An old fashioned is one of the oldest recipes for drinks. I think it's only beaten out by a couple pirate cocktails, but it originally came about in 1806, and the first published version was in a book called The Modern Bartender's Guide, published in 1883, and it described the drink as 1 part water, 1 part spirit, 1 part bitters. Or 1 part sugar, 1 part water, 1 part spirit, 1 part bitters. Or not part dash of bitters. For bitters, I will be using Angostura. I'm gonna get a 3-pack probably next weekend. So yeah, I need a re-up. So for a whiskey old fashioned, first of all, we are going to grab our ice block. If you don't have an ice block, regular ice cubes, 3 or 4. However, I do recommend getting a block. Grab our bar spoon, have that handy, as well as our jigger. For most of these, I will be using Clan MacGregor simply because this is like a basic whiskey and it's cheap. Most whiskeys you can be fucked over by some whiskeys. Like I have a bottle of Seagram's down there. Terrible shit. Good for mixing though. So with most recipes, you can elevate bad spirits. Okay. 1 ounce of simple syrup. And I know there's going to be some people in the comments saying, "That's not how you do it. There's nothing about an ice." Apparently, so the way you're supposed to do it traditionally is grab a sugar cube, add 2 dashes of Angostura bitters in there, muddle that into the bottom of the glass, then add your ice cube, 2 dashes of Angostura bitters. Then you add your whiskey and stir it. It's supposed to slowly incorporate the sugar as you drink, mixing it all in together and changing as you drink and as the ice melts. However, sugar cubes bring ants. Fuck that. I'm not doing it. Okay, so in this glass we have 1 ounce of simple syrup, 2 dashes of Angostura bitters. Obviously, more Ango if you like it, less if you don't. And then we're gonna do 2 ounces of the whiskey of your choice. I'm doing Irish whiskey because Irish whiskey is my favorite. Gonna take our bar spoon and we're gonna give that a stir. And then to finish off the drink, I'm gonna take an orange, pull the peel off, and lightly express the oils off of the orange peel. So if you didn't know, most peeled fruit like oranges, lemons, limes, the peels have oils in them and they add to the drink. Cheers. Mm. Old fashioned is one of my favorite drinks simply because you can't really fuck it up. I've made these blackout drunk before. You cannot fuck that up. You get the oak and the This one has a really, really high vanilla note. I think that's because it is, yes, it is blended, and it is. Oh no, it's not a flavored whiskey. It has a really, really strong vanilla note, and it almost seems like a fake vanilla note, like the difference between fresh vanilla and vanilla extract or imitation vanilla. It's weird, but it is really, really good. I like that, and I'm probably going to be sipping on it throughout the episode. So the Angostura also bringing in heavy punches. Love that. All right. For our next drink, you've probably seen this drink. However, I don't think you've ever seen it made. We're going to be making a Manhattan. For that, you're going to need my friend red vermouth. Red vermouth is like the only thing that I use. This is the only thing I use red vermouth for is Manhattan. I can use it for a bunch of different things like martinis, but I don't like gin, so I'm not gonna. Okay, so a Manhattan. There's a couple different variations. Um, I am doing a standard Manhattan. There are three types, I believe. There's Manhattan regular, which is this, Manhattan dry, which is using dry vermouth, which I have a bottle of, and then Manhattan perfect, using a 50-50 ratio of both. I will be doing just a regular Manhattan. So, for a regular Manhattan, there is an ounce and a little over half, and an ounce and a half ish of whiskey, 2 an ounce and a half of red vermouth, and it is highly recommended that you chill and frost your glass, which is why I have it in the freezer behind me. I'm going to go get it in a moment. Oh, this is also a good opportunity to show you how to crack your ice. So if you have a big ass ice cube and you don't have smaller cubes, I have small cubes, but I don't like using them. Good way to crack your ice: take the back of your spoon, big ass ice, right in the middle, turn it over. Obviously, don't make a fucking mess all over the place like I am. Here we go. Give this a stir. Alright, and I'm going to cut to whenever I have my glass. Give me just a minute. Alright, and we have our perfectly chilled coupe glass. Take your strainer, strain that off. Oh, God, that looks beautiful. And finally, to garnish, 3 cherries. I like Luxardo, so that is a beautiful Manhattan. One indicative of the city itself. So, cheers. Oh, the red vermouth is bringing a lot of bitterness to balance out the sweet whiskey. The scent of the cherries is adding that weird fruity floral note, as well as the whiskey bringing in sweetness and that oaky vanilla note yet again, probably from the uh, the blended Scotch Irish whiskey. love me. Love me a good Manhattan. Alright, last up is another very popular one. Again, I gotta step out because uh, I'm a dumbass and I forgot a crucial ingredient for this. So, another jump cut. Give me just a second. Hi, editing. Tristan here. I was supposed to put a tribute to the makeshift tavern before my whiskey sour. That was in the last video. However, me being a dumbass deleted that video and had to reshoot the entire episode. I was supposed to do it again. I forgot. Sorry about that. This whiskey sour is for the makeshift tavern. Love all of you. Thank you, and back to your regularly scheduled content. Alright, and I'm back. So, let's get. Oh, damn it. No, no. Got water all over my notes. No. Alright, we can ignore that stupid moment. Alright. Yeah. You are gonna need a cutting board for this. Trying to get my cutting board out. Cutting board. Okay. So, to start, we are going to need a half a lemon. Juiced. Yeah. Juice of 1/2 lemon. Throw that away. Yeah, damn it. Okay. The recipe does call for simple syrup. However, I am using homemade sour mix. Trust me, I will teach you how to make it. It is miles better than the store-bought stuff and cost way less. And it's going to use shit that you already need if you're starting a home bar. 1 ounce of that. I like my whiskey sours on the sweeter side. Okay. 1.5 ounces of whiskey. I will be serving this in a Jack Daniels bottle, so I'm going to use some Jack Daniels. 1.5 ounces of good old JD. Don't know how I would have gotten through high school without you, buddy. Okay. Now for the part that is probably going to freak some people out. Egg white. Simply crack the egg, get it out. Try not to get egg into your drink. Carefully pop out the egg yolk. You could save this. I'm going to be throwing it away because I don't like just egg yolks in omelets or egg yolk scrambled eggs. Get as much in there. Toss what you don't want. Okay. I need a fucking cup. Here, you'll do. I'm just storing my ice. So, for this, you are going to want to take your shaker, give it a good pop, unlike I did, sit down on the table, give it a good pop, and you're going to give it a dry shake. That means no ice for about 30 seconds. Okay. Pop it back open. Should see it's nice and frothy. I don't know if you guys can see that. Nice and frothy and white. Okay. 1 big cube. Gonna crack the other one. Tuck that bad bitch in again. Pop that bad bitch open. And finally, go ahead and strain and serve. The egg white is what serves to make this drink as frothy as possible. And finally, to garnish, I just like 2 or 3 penitive dots of Angostura bitters. Wonderful. Use a toothpick to sort of throw that around. And that is one whiskey sour. Cheers. It is creamy and foamy. It has a sort of lemonade feel to it. Oh, and those few dashes of Ango. They might not seem like much, but 1 or 2 dashes is really all you need. Any more, and you're overtaking your drink and just drinking Angostura. The whiskey isn't really playing too much of a part in here, as much as giving some forward notes of a little bit of oak. It's really the lemon playing its part and hitting hard, as like a almost like a foamy, creamy lemonade. Absolutely gorgeous and lovely jubbly. Well, let me go ahead and make a little. So, 3 wonderful risky whiskey beverages. Old fashioned, the Manhattan, and the whiskey sour. Next week, probably gonna take a nice long look at rum. I love rum. It's my second favorite spirit, and it has been being used more and more over the past couple weeks. So I'm gonna enjoy next week. Until then, cheers. Stay thirsty.